On the map, it looks very small, a tiny piece of land lying in the quiet waters of the Venetian lagoon, hidden under mist. From the shore, it seems like an ordinary island. No bright lights, no tourist boats, no noise. But when locals hear its name, their voices change. The island is called Poveglia. At night, fishermen try not to pass near it. Some say the wind changes direction there, that the waves gently push your boat toward the shore. Others simply say, those who go there don't want to come back, or can't. Once Poveglia was just an island. Vineyards, fishermen, small houses. But history sometimes changes places, so deeply that an ordinary island becomes a prison of memories. During the time of the Black Death, when fear spread faster than the disease itself, Venetian authorities made a decision. The sick must not stay in the city. Suspicious ships must not dock. They must all be sent to a separate island. That island was Poveglia. People were brought there by boat. Sometimes they knew what awaited them, sometimes they didn't. The boats returned to Venice. The people almost never did. It is said that much of the soil here is mixed with ash and human remains. It is said that when the fog rises at night, a strange sound travels across the water. Not quite wind, not quite sea. Something different. Time passed. The plague ended. But the island was not left alone. In the 20th century, another chapter opened. A psychiatric hospital was built here. Today, its windows stare out empty. Walls are cracked, doors are rotting. Yet locals still speak in hushed tones. That at night, it sounds as if someone is screaming that an old bell rings. Even though no one lives there, that sometimes silhouettes move inside the mist. Are these myths? Perhaps. But one thing is certain, a great deal of human suffering happened here. Those who were brought to this island were often already alone, and a darker truth was whispered among them. Many of those who arrived knew they might never return, and some no longer wanted to. Maybe that is why Poveglia is compared to Azkaban, because this island is not only made of stone and earth, it holds. The parts of history books don't speak about the voices that were never recorded, the fears people tried to forget. And even today, when someone looks toward that island, a strange feeling can arise inside, as if the island is calling you, but doesn't want to let you go. So the question remains, what cursed this place? Disease, human cruelty, or our own fear? The answer lies not in legends, but on the island itself. 14th century Europe. Cities were crowded, markets were noisy, churches were full. Then an unseen enemy arrived, the Black Death. At first, one house went silent, then a street, then entire neighborhoods. People did not understand what was happening. No matter how much they prayed or locked their doors, the illness seemed to travel through the air itself, reaching everywhere. Venice became one of the centers of fear. Authorities made a decision. Anyone sick or suspected of being sick would be taken out of the city. Ships would not be allowed to dock directly. They would all be sent to a separate island. That island was Poveglia. Fog often covered the shoreline. Boats moved toward the island one by one, and they usually came back without the same people. Those brought here knew they were being separated from their families. They might never see their homes again. Some still held on to hope. Others already felt that this was their final stop. Fires burned for days, herbs were boiled in pots, makeshift shelters were built in a hurry. On this island, there was no living, only enduring and waiting. As time passed, Poveglia changed. It was no longer just an island. It became a silent wall of quarantine, carrying the city's fear on its shoulders. Later, people would say that much of the soil is mixed with ash. It sounds like a legend. But one truth remains. Thousands of people were brought here, and most of them never returned. Human voices slowly faded, and only the wind and the sea remained. From that moment on, people spoke differently about Poveglia. This island is not in the middle of the sea. It stands between the past and the present. Here, the Black Death did not only wound bodies, it wounded memory. And the island's first nightmare began there. Imagine this. You are being taken by boat to a small island covered in fog. There are no familiar streets, no voices of neighbors, no noise of daily life. Only the sound of water and the dark shape of the island growing closer. These people were not going on a trip. They were not making a choice. Most of them understood only one thing. There was no certainty of coming back. Some still held on to hope. Maybe I will recover. Maybe I will return. But in the eyes of others, there was something different, as if they had already said their goodbyes. Silence ruled on the boats, a few whispers, a quiet prayer, the distant echo of a bell. When they stepped onto the shore, they felt it immediately. Time moved differently here. Days blended together. Morning and evening lost their meaning. Some could still hear the voices of their families in their minds. Others were already tired, even of memories. The heaviest burden was not illness. It was being alone. Those brought here had been separated from the people they loved, left their homes without answers, no knowledge of what awaited them. No one gave them certainty. No one promised, "You will return." Sometimes the boats went back, but rarely with the same people. That is why Poveglia felt different. It was not simply a piece of land in the middle of the sea. To many, it looked like the beginning of a road with no return. People on this island were not only fighting disease, they were facing fear, isolation, and unknown tomorrow. And in moments like this, a painful truth appears. It is not the body giving up that hurts the most. It is hope fading. Many who came to this island did not know their fate, and perhaps the biggest question in their hearts was, will I ever go back or not? Today, when you look at Poveglia, the first thing you notice is silence. Light waves on the water, the distant outline of Venice, and in the middle, an abandoned island. On official maps, it is still there, but in reality, there is no life on it. The buildings on the island now look like ruins. Windows without glass doors rotted away, paint falling from the walls, tree roots growing through the roofs. In the corridors of the old hospital, only the wind walks now. There are no footsteps, no lights, only emptiness. For many years, Italian authorities have treated Poveglia carefully. It is not an open tourist destination. Permanent residence is not allowed. Entering the buildings is considered dangerous. The reason is not only legends. The structures are old, unstable, and collapsing. And because the island once served as quarantine grounds and later a hospital, it is also considered a protected historical site. Several times, attempts were made to sell or lease the island. There were interested buyers, but strangely, some changed their minds, some projects were abandoned. Halfway, locals explain it in a simple sentence. The island accepts people, but it doesn't like to keep them long. At dusk, when fog rises, Poveglia looks completely different. It is as if not a thin mist, but a heavy curtain of memories covers it. Official documents say one thing. The buildings are unsafe, access is restricted. But people say something else. The island has not yet let go of its past. Maybe that is why Poveglia is still closed today. Because sometimes abandoned places are not heavy because of stone and soil. They are heavy because of the stories they hold. And Poveglia feels like a place that whispers, "Leave me in peace." There are two stories about Poveglia. One is the story people tell. The other is the story written in records. People say, at night screams are heard from the island. A bell rings that no one is ringing. Shadows pass through the fog. Are these myths? Maybe. The scientific view is simpler. This island was a quarantine station and later a hospital for many years. Thousands of people experience fear, isolation, and hopelessness here. Abandoned buildings, silence and fog make the mind imagine things. Sometimes what we call ghosts are simply the echoes of the past. But one truth cannot be denied. People suffered here. They faced separation, fear, and endless waiting. Myths may exaggerate. Reality is already heavy enough. Perhaps Poveglia feels frightening not because it is cursed, but because it remembers too much. Poveglia may be a small dot on the map, but in memory it is anything but small. Here people feared disease. People were left alone, not knowing if they would return, and walls listened to stories no one else heard. Some call this place cursed. Some say voices are still there. Maybe the island is not cursed at all. Maybe it simply remembers too much. Because sometimes places are like people. They are wounded, they carry memories, they speak in silence. Today, Poveglia is closed. Few go there. But one truth remains. This island is not just a horror story. It is a reminder of human history and fragile lives. And perhaps it has only one message for us. Do not forget the past.